So in 2025, I spent 25K on info, and the biggest takeaways from that definitely came from the Hong Kong mastermind. Now, I have another video on my account that kind of details more in depth on what I learned from that, specifically the top 3 things that I learned from Daniel. But that was mostly just around branding. What I want to talk more about is like the business side of things, where he was kind of guiding me a little bit because I got a lot of one-to-one time with him, so I could pick his brain really, really well, because I actually missed the first day of the mastermind. So we kind of made up for it later on. But I just got a lot more one-to-one time with him than I expected. And we spent a great deal of time together and made a lot of good connections just with the group in general. But with my one-to-one time with Daniel, we ended up getting into a discussion about enterprise value and client acquisition cost in info. And we eventually came to the conclusion that building any equity in info is pretty much impossible. But as a result, you get the unique opportunity of having like abnormally high profit margins, because in info, you're essentially selling air. There's a double-edged sword though, because you get a cash flowing business that you can't sell. You can't sell the actual equity value, right? People pay me for the info. So selling the company to someone else just does not make any sense at all. I would have to stay present for it to be worth something. The best thing that I can do is use it as an engine to fuel other ventures, specifically in tech, where I can build enterprise value. And that is how I'm going to cash collect $5 million in 2026. So may I present to you the tech-infused info business. When Daniel was presenting this information to me, he used Iman as an example. So he made millions from info and then funneled that into various tech companies. So first he built Flowzy to help agency owners manage their business, because he was selling an agency course. Second, he made a bigger move by investing into existing companies and packaging them up into wholesale software deals. And then third, he made a massive move and became co-owner in WAP, where he technically gets a small rev share of everyone who payment processes there. It's very, very sticky for that reason. So basically, the concept is tech enabling your info business so that you can fix the problems of your current clients, increase the value of your current offer, and create a positive client acquisition cost. And at the same time, build enterprise value that you could sell down the line if you wanted to. Like, you could sell the company. And so if you're absolutely murdering, you can make some really big moves very fast. So the plan is to funnel profits from my current info business into developing a tech stack that we can sell outside of our current clients while directly complementing the offer. So in short, building enterprise value while maintaining and growing an existing cash engine. So it works like this. You start an info business, whether that's consulting or growth operating in a niche or full on selling info. After getting your first 10 or so clients, you begin seeing some common patterns among issues that they face and create a playbook to address them and film resources so that your offer becomes more systemized. You then realize that this problem is not something that is unique to your clients and start making content teaching people how to fix this. Your info business grows, and as a result, you start making more money than you ever have before. Okay, so right there is about the time to start building out your app that directly complements your offer. So use the cash flow that you get from your info to funnel into the development of your software. So this is exactly what we're doing with my software company, Baseline, which is the app that we're building. And I'm going to use it as an example for all of this. Okay, so coming up with an idea, an offer for your tool should be pretty simple. So the idea is to solve a problem that your clients are currently experiencing faster than they can themselves, or better than they can themselves. So for Baseline, I came up with the idea because I realized that a lot of my clients were having a hard time managing their own clients when they first came into the program, and they were doing it on Notion or Airtable. And so the idea is to make people do things, because I realized that, the number one factor that goes into whether or not a client will succeed is the coach has to be good. If the coach isn't worth a shit, then the client will never get results in the first place. But B, the client has to actually follow what the coach says. So if we can make people do things in the best and most efficient way possible and have them realize that the results that they're getting are real and they're consistent, they're often, then they will be more likely to follow what the coach says because they know it works. I've been a client before. I'm sure most of us probably have, but when I'm more aware of the results that I'm getting, I'm more likely to listen to exactly what the coach tells me to do, because I know what he says works, or I know what they say works. Never had a woman coach, but I'm open to it. Right. So if your app does not solve a problem that your clients have, then there's just no reason to build it. It's just, you're building something for vanity. You're going to waste time, energy, resources, whatever on it, on something that is not even sticky for your clients, right? You want to have something that's very sticky so that, if your clients are using it and they're using it for more than just the reason that it's your app, then likely there's other people that they know who will refer them to your app. So then it becomes sort of a snowball, right? But when it comes to actually building your idea, I found a developer who bought into my vision, and I dished him a bit of equity. So you can either do that, or you can retain full equity in the app, in the company that you're forming here, and use the profits from your info business. But I found a developer who's really bought in, and I really like him. So I'm excited to work with him further and long term, and he's bought into it. So things worked out, and you can do it like that. That totally depends on what your circumstances are. But for growing Baseline, we're going to do a few things. So we're going to rely on my social media content. So this stuff, because I'm talking about info, word of mouth, and then my network. If you're any way established within your niche, likely the people that know other people that need that pain solved. So ask them to do that, and give them a really, really nice referral or affiliate link. My social media content will likely stay the same because it's working to bring info clients in. So likely the people who are watching these videos are selling info. At least I hope you are. And so if you're selling info, then not only will you likely be a good client for my consulting business, but you'll also be a good client for the software business. However, I will probably be doing some documentation content as well, because it's a really cool idea. We're also going to get into some financial processing stuff in the future. For word of mouth and my network, we're building a really strong referral system that potentially includes a bit of equity depending on the size of the creator, or if they're sending us like an absolute ton of referrals, then we'd be open to giving in a little bit of equity, as well as their referral link or their affiliate link, so they get a little bit of cash from each sign up, and they also get a bit of company value. So trying to make it really, really sexy. Now, if you aren't already, make as many friends in your space as humanly possible. Like, that is super, super important. Just go out and network. Like, other coaches who you're basically your competitors. You want to be friends with your competitors. You just want to kind of know them. Larry Ellison knew Bill Gates, right? So Larry Ellison really wanted to basically defeat Bill Gates. His saying is, you need to find a foe worthy of your steel. So find someone in your niche that you can absolutely destroy, like take down, but be friendly about it, right? Or don't. Whatever you want to do. But regardless, make friends with them, because if you are trying to build a tool for their clients, you can give them that tool as well. And so it just kind of creates a full loop and snowball effect. Like, you do this enough and you start to build a consistent stream of cash flow that you can reinvest back into the business, or find other tech founders or product founders, whatever it might be, to funnel that money into, like with founders that you see a vision with, similar to how Iman did with Monetize and WAP. And now he's also in Hears, which, if you don't know what Hears is, it is got some right here. It is a earplug company. They're planning on making a few different products, but at this point in time right now, they only have two. And it's really just for concerts and things like that. So to protect your ears. Yeah. So then the next step after you build your app and you start getting some cash flow is to start building out your portfolio by collecting equity in multiple tech companies or different product-based companies, and sell their subscriptions. If it's a tech business, sell their subscriptions at a wholesale price to your current audience base, and start positioning yourself as the guy who fixes problems in your industry. Now, very, very similar to what Iman did. This is basically Iman's playbook here. So what he's doing is he's packaging everything up into Monetize, He's doing some other things now, like AI operating or something. But he's packaging everything up into Monetize with his software and then giving away the info for free. So apart from his high ticket consulting.com stuff, all of his lower ticket stuff has Agency Accelerator and his other agency courses and info courses and whatnot inside of Monetize. So that leads me into what we're doing with my consulting company. When we bring a new RevShare client in or a consulting client in, we make sure their info business is absolutely murdering house. So we perfect their offer, their ads, content, sales, appointment setting, service delivery, everything that you need to run an info business, we set up, we create. If you're in the consulting program, then we just give you those things and we make sure that you're following it. With the RevShare, we are actually implementing it ourselves. With the consulting, or more like, you should do this. And right now, then once everything is optimized and built on the info side, we transition into future proofing. So building tech that directly complements the info offer. Now, right now we're building 4 apps, one of which is mine, and 3 of which are my clients. So the goal is to set up the cash engine for the clients where they can start really pulling in cash and basically create their own private fund that they can go find other deals to invest into or build themselves and things like that. So Iman built Flowsy, then he invested into other software apps, packaged them up, and eventually sold them with Monetize, and then made his big move with WAP, but that was before Monetize. Made his big move with WAP. Now takes a small rev share from every client who payment processes there. Now, what I mean by rev share is like the payment fees, but what I realized is that info businesses that are not tech enabled or tech infused with their offer are similar to businesses that did not adopt machinery in the Industrial Revolution because they thought that it was not needed. But they didn't realize there was so much more, like Ford inventing the assembly line, for example. Like that was revolutionary. He implemented machinery into his business and eventually turned into Ford. And we all know what Ford is today. Same thing with the .com era, right? People who are businesses that didn't adopt the internet or websites and things like that, they eventually just petered out because they didn't realize there was so much more to the internet. But early adopters to both succeeded and have become lifelong businesses. Start setting up your info business so that the profit margins are extremely high, and start stacking cash and becoming virtually your own private fund where you can start to invest into tech that complements your info offer, get into products, whatever you want to do, real estate, but use info as your cash engine and not your main vision, if that makes sense. But track the problems that your clients are facing, and specifically the ones that you can't solve quickly through your guidance. So start building an app after that can replace parts of you and can be scaled outside of your audience base.